The Consumer Financial Protection Bureau needs some protection itself.
We're going to be learning more about that today on The Undercurrent.
Happy New Year's Eve.
It is Auld Lang Syne and all that, Uncle Warren.
Yeah,
I would never forget this old acquaintance of mine.
I know, right? Well, after a few of those wines that you have, you might. Although the wines that you provide at Shindigs are very tasty. By the way, I have to. I appreciate your wine love, your love for the berry, as it were.
The grape. And remember, I'm going to be coming back to Chicago in February, so we're going to be getting together for my birthday, and we're going to be drinking wine and eating cheese.
A wine and cheese. I'll bring the wine.
Ooh. And Chuck can bring the cheese.
He could be Chuck E. Cheese. Chuck and cheese.
His pizza's a lot better than Chuck E. Cheese.
Have you ever had Chuck E. Cheese pizza?
Oh, Lord.
Long time ago. It is just awful. I know why those kids are crying in Chuck E. Cheese. And it's not because there's boiled brats. It's because they're being fed crappy pizza. Oh, my goodness. But yeah, it is. It's the end of the year. What a year it's been, huh? What a crazy year.
It's been a year. Yeah. Worse than I thought. It was actually worse than I thought it would be.
Well, I heard about all this, what is it? The Operation 2025 or whatever that thing was, and it's like, okay, but it didn't really bother me because that's all hype. But when you see the effery in action, that's when you're like, okay, this is for real. This is what the hell's going on here. So it's been a bad year for everybody except those who can afford not to pay attention, I guess.
Or have been drinking so much wine that they don't need to.
The bad one. Yeah, I know, right? Maybe that's a lesson for all of us. Just forget about what's going on. Have a sip. Have some grandma's cough medicine.
I'm doing dry January again this year, so that's going to be real interesting.
Woo! Dry January?
Yeah, I did it last year too. I like it. When I do it, it's a really positive thing. It is. So
yeah, if it's in moderation, wine is so good. It's good for you in moderation too, for your heart. From what I've heard, but that may be a misnomer, and maybe that may be a urban legend. But I've heard wine and chocolate in moderation.
Oh, dark chocolate in particular. I love me some dark chocolate.
I do too. That's when I discovered dark chocolate after eating milk chocolate for so many years. I was like, whoa. This is
it can be, and then dark chocolate with some wine. You get like a good Zinfandel or a Cabernet or Merlot, something like that, and have a piece of chocolate with it, or a really good Italian wine, or maybe a Spanish Tempranillo and the dark chocolate. Good stuff.
I know, right? Delicioso. We got Peeps in the house. We got P Stuff. What's up, P Stuff? Happy nearly over 2025 to you. And
love these good folks who are always here for us.
Surf music. Cool. Good morning. And Pittsburgh dude, 87. What's going on, my friend? There was a guy who's the oldest man in the world a few years ago who said his secret was one glass of wine every night with dinner. Yeah. You have those people, right? Those old ladies, they're living to 110. They're telling you they're drinking whiskey and smoking cigars the whole time. And you're like, what am I doing with my life? It should be whiskeys and cigars 24/7.
I was hearing about what they used to do with kids in Italy. This guy was saying that for breakfast every morning, his mom would make him a shot of espresso. She would then beat an egg yolk into the shot of espresso and then put a shot of Fernet Branca, the aperitif, the aperitif in there. and just to get the kid's heart going. And that's how he'd go to school every day.
Wow. I know, right? Well, back in the old days, they were like, bullet wound, here's some whiskey. What's it going to do? I don't know. It make you forget you got shot. Yeah, I know, right? What's the old meme? There was an old meme that says, "Oh, you got ghosts in your blood. You better do cocaine and stuff." And this was like the 1800s when cocaine was like, it's medicine, and now it's like not so much.
It used to be that when the babies were teething, parents would put whiskey on their fingers and rub the kids' gums. And
they did that with us.
And when when I was a kid, my grandmother, when we were sick, she would make whiskey, honey, and lemon, and she'd give us a spoonful of whiskey, honey, and lemon.
Yeah, I mean, it's if it's good whiskey, it's about the same as cough medicine. We got Willie Bragg in the house. What's up? Hopefully 2026 will be awesome. Good to see you, Willie.
Always good to see Willie.
Willie, are you, if you let us know in the comments, are you doing a New Year's Eve show tonight with Angie Moon? I thought I heard the legend, the whispers in the wind. So if you could let us know, that would be cool. I was planning a New Year's Eve show, but Festivus and Christmas basically just kicked my butt. And I'm just like, I just want to enjoy tonight. And I don't even know if I want to celebrate 2026 coming, to be honest with you, because of all the crazy stuff that happened this year,
An asteroid that could make its way toward the planet right about now.
Well, Apophis is coming in 2029, but that's 4 years away.
Not soon enough.
That's a fun, happy story too. How it's supposed to, it's huge, right? I think it's the size. I think they said the Apophis is an asteroid the size of the Empire State Building, like a fat Empire State Building. And it's supposed to come within 33,000 miles of Earth, which, and you say, well, that's doesn't seem that close. But if you have to consider our satellites are further away than that. So this thing will be coming under the satellites. And if it hits a certain gravitational keyhole, which means like once it gets close to a planet, it kind of wants to tend to pull into that gravity. So that would change its direction. If it changes in the right direction by 2036, when it comes around again, that's a wrap. Us. Right. Probably in the Pacific, which means several hundred meters of tsunamis. So the West Coast would be toast. Well, it would be underwater toast. Yay! Well, yeah, you still got what, 3 years? It's supposed to be April 13th, 2029 is when it comes by the Earth. So you got 3 years to get your affairs in order, just in case. Because I mean, it won't hit in 2029, regardless. Although if something pushes it out of its orbit now, it could. But I'm just saying, there's a big rock out there that doesn't like us very much and thinks we're dinosaurs, if you know what I mean. Yeah. So that being said, we got Chuck's Intergalactic UFO Show. He's the one that conjured these asteroids. Elmo has 5,600 satellites in orbit. If anything passes through those, we'll be the first to know. That's right. Well, I think those satellites really, I don't think they have anything to worry about with asteroids right now, unless there's one they don't see. But it's when the sun does one of those coronal mass ejection things and fries electronics, that's when you have to worry about it. But hopefully we don't have to worry about any of that, and we can just worry about all this dumb stuff that's going on our planet today.
We're pretty good at destroying ourselves. We don't need no stinking asteroid.
We don't need no stinking asteroid. That's for damn sure, right? We're Americans. We could screw our own selves up.
Amen.
Speaking of screw ups, let's get to the riptide.
Americans.
Yeah, pull yourself up by your bootstraps. I don't have boots or straps. Well, it's just a metaphor. It means stop asking me questions. That's basically what it is. So let's get to it. We got news. Trump's economic policies did this. U.S. business bankruptcies surged to a 15-year high. I'm not surprised. Businesses in the U.S. have filed for bankruptcy this year at a level not seen since 2010. Remember what happened around that time? The 2008 financial crisis. All those corporations going down. Circuit City, no mas. As Trump's tariff regime has jacked up costs for companies in manufacturing and other major sectors. Citing data from S&P Global Market Intelligence, the Washington Post reported over the weekend that at least 717 U.S. companies, filed for bankruptcy through November of this year, the highest figure recorded since the aftermath of the Great Recession, and a 14% increase compared to the same period last year. But the economy's good, everybody. The economy's good. I'm having a good time. All my rich buddies are having a good time. So yeah, the economy's good. Companies cited inflation and interest rates among the factors contributing to their financial challenges, as well as Trump administration trade policies that have disrupted supply chains and pushed up costs, the Post noted. But in a shift from previous years, the rise in filings is most apparent among industrials, companies tied to manufacturing, construction, and transportation. The sector has been hit hard by Trump's ever-fluid tariff policies, which he's long insisted would revive American manufacturing. That's right. It will also bring forth the tooth fairy, and you will get money under your pillow for all those wonderful things. You okay there?
I'm doing just fine.
What do we say when you're drinking something? My dad would say, "Does it got bones in it? Why are you? What's wrong with you?" Like,
no, I'm fine. I got something in my throat. I'm not sure what it is.
Yeah, this is the dry season too.
It is
here in winter, especially up here in Chicago. Woo! You don't even want to know about my maladies. Recent data shows that the U.S. has lost 49,000 manufacturing jobs since Trump's return to office. Hey, the economy's doing great. The bankruptcy figures add to the growing pile of evidence showing that Trump's tariffs and broader policy agenda have harmed the U.S. economy. What? No, say it. So, weakening job growth, driving the unemployment rate up to the highest level since the COVID-19 pandemic, and worsening the nation's cost of living crisis. Democrats immediately seized on the new reporting as evidence of Trump's failed stewardship of the U.S. economy, messaging that's likely to be central as the 2026 midterms approach. Of course, there will be fundraising off that, but they won't be necessarily doing anything about it. Past history has shown that. Ken Martin, chair of the Democratic National Committee, said Monday that when Donald Trump signed his big ugly bill into law, he cemented the Republican Party as the party of billionaires and special interests, not working families, farmers, or small business owners. While millions of working families are already being squeezed to afford groceries, utilities, and rent, Trump chose to strip them of their health care and food assistance just so he could give his ultra-wealthy friends and donors an extra buck, said Martin. Make no mistake, Trump's signature achievement will be the nail in the coffin for the Republican majority when voters head to the polls next November. And that's all well and good, right? That's all sweet that the Democrats are seizing on this. But that's the thing, when they do get control, it's just that it's that ratchet effect, right? They just keep things where it is. It's the status quo. So, but at the same time, you can't just say, well, the Democrats aren't doing anything about this. You have to, everybody's got a piece of this, right? Everybody has to pressure their politicians to say, hey, look, he needs to stop this dumb tariff stuff because it's not helping anybody except his rich buddies. Yeah.
But it's also a distraction.
Mm-hmm.
The whole thing with, bombing Nigeria on Christmas Day, things like that. It proves a distraction. People can squawk about it. They can get businesses can squawk about it. The America First can squawk about it, and have people can go back and forth. And they've already had to pull back on things when Trump finally realized that you can't grow bananas and coffee in the United States, and that sort of thing. But it's a distraction as far as I'm concerned. I mean, it's an unfortunate distraction because I think it's making things harder on everybody. But I don't think it's going as far as it. We're looking at that instead of looking at some other things right now.
I don't even think Trump even cares if he sounds stupid at this point.
No, he's doing this intentionally. This is intentional.
Yeah. I mean, this is
deliberately
just
rage baiting.
Yeah, this is just, seeing these small businesses, 717 going into bankruptcy like that. And you got to remember, a lot of these small businesses are still coming out of that pandemic economy that we had, and are still struggling, and these tariffs aren't helping at all.
And keep in mind, when a business goes into bankruptcy, I mean, they're usually trying to reorganize debts, but there may be other small businesses that they owe. So when you see a small business or a business that goes into bankruptcy, keep in mind there may be anywhere from 2, 3, 5, 10, 15 other businesses that are also now in trouble because that the business that's going into bankruptcy, they're the creditors, and that business is not going to be able to pay them or pay them in full. So it's not just the number of businesses that are going into bankruptcy; it's also all of their creditors.
Right. Yeah. It's a chain reaction, and that's the thing that they don't mention. Right. They'll say, "Oh, it's just a few businesses," and it's like, no, it's not. It's definitely more than just a few businesses.
Yeah.
Do you are you into silver? Are you do you like are you hi ho silver away? Are you
that's interesting stuff. I was not expecting to see that in our list of news today, and I was very interested in seeing what you've discovered.
I mean, I really don't care what Musk's opinion is, but he does bring up the fact that silver did surge, and it could hit manufacturers because China is going to curb their exports, and there's him right there. So a sharp surge in silver prices to unprecedented levels this month has drawn a warning from Elon Musk, who cautioned that manufacturers could face serious consequences as costs rise. See, silver isn't just something that you invest in. It's also a functional metal, right? Like it's used in a lot of appliances and electronics and that sort of thing. Silver has climbed steeply throughout December, part of a broader surge in precious metals that also lifted gold and platinum to record highs on Boxing Day. No, it's not that. I don't think that's that kind of boxing. Analysts link the price jump to expectations that the U.S. Fed will cut interest rates next year, a shift that has boosted investor appetite for hard assets. Stop it. Seen as hedges against inflation and currency weaknesses. You don't say the ETS part, you're a dirty birdie. Concerns over supply have also intensified after China announced new restrictions on silver exports set to take effect tomorrow. At the same time, heightened geopolitical tensions have increased demand for safe haven assets. So silver reached $79 an ounce, or 58 pounds if you're across the pond, for the first time last Friday, rising from 56 at the beginning of December and just 29 an ounce at the start of the year. Look at that. Look at that silver.
Hi-ho, silver.
Yeah. So this is what he said. This is not good. Silver is needed in many industrial processes. Musk was saying the metal is a critical input for a range of fast-growing industries, including electrification, solar power, electric vehicles, and data centers. Oh no, maybe that. See, there we go. I think that might be the key indicator right there. Why silver said is its use in data centers. Rising demand across these sectors has steadily eroded global silver inventories. Alongside its industrial uses, silver also functions as a monetary metal and store of value, reinforcing demand during periods of economic uncertainty. So Tony Sycamore, a market analyst at IG, I don't think that's Instagram, I think that's something else, said silver appeared to be in the midst of a generational bubble as increasing amounts of capital flow into precious metals. The rally in precious metals has been supported by expectations of multiple Fed rate cuts in 2026, alongside robust central bank and private investor buying. However, the dominant driver of late has been a severe structural supply-demand imbalance in silver, sparking a scramble for physical metal, Sycamore said. So Bloomberg reports A large share of the world's readily available silver is currently stored in New York as markets await the outcome of a U.S. Commerce Department investigation into whether imports of critical minerals pose a national security risk. The old tried and true national security risk. The review could lead to tariffs or other trade restrictions, the outlet says. So whenever, I do this on the morning show, the old national security drinking game. Whenever you hear that, have a sip, because, some BS is afoot when it comes to that, especially with silver. Right. I mean, these are going to the data centers. They're not saying it, but that's what's happening, right? No, maybe not.
Yeah. Silver is used for other things too. They use like silver threads in gloves for like antiseptic properties. People take colloidal silver as a supplement. Sometimes people overdo it and they turn themselves permanently blue. You ever seen those people?
Mm-hmm.
It's really weird.
Yeah. They smurf up. It's like they take too much silver. And that's why their skin turns blue.
And it gets permanently embedded and you can't get it out of your body. No. The other thing I know that, that if you look at some of the, shall we say, some of the survivalist community, the preppers, and sometimes, they'll say invest in silver because when collapse comes, silver will be more useful than gold because it's a hard currency, and gold will be just worth way too much, and you won't be able to. People can't use it for common everyday trading, but if you have like the mercury dimes and cigar tubes or something like that, you can use that. It is interesting to see what's happening here. And yeah, as they point out, even Elon Musk points out that it's needed for other things. Wow.
Well, also, if silver becomes a scarcity, then your werewolf population just explodes. Because, there's no silver bullets to stop. Chuck, yeah,
where's
good
Bob
to see you, buddy.
When you need it?
I know, right? And I know he sold his silver bullet band because he said, "I'm making a profit." CBC
night
voter,
moves.
good to see you. We're getting on them night moves. They're too tall. Could use a few pounds. Oh, when they started using that for those truck commercials, though, I was like, "Oh no, that was Like a Rock." That's
Like a Rock, yeah.
So there's some good news.
Rock and roll.
Here's some good news if you're into military stocks going in the toilet for some reason. If you like that sort of thing, European military stocks slump as Trump signals Ukraine peace deal close. Oh, see, it's like we might have peace and our stocks dropped. What? We can't have. European military stocks have dropped after Trump indicated that the Ukraine peace process is approaching a conclusion following his meeting with Vladimir Putin or Zelensky. Wait a minute. They combined the two. This is from RT. You can't say Vladimir Zelensky. That's Voldemort Zelensky. Or maybe it was Putin. He met with somebody. Trump hosted Zelensky, there we go, in Miami Sunday for the latest round of discussions on a possible peace proposal, with the meeting preceded by his phone call with Russian President Vladimir Putin. See, they put him in the Jeff Goldblum fly pod, so they put Putin and Zelensky in there, and they came out with Vladimir Zelensky. That's the only thing I can think of. If that's even a real thing. So at a joint press conference that followed, Trump said a peace deal was 95% ready, and that the sides were very close to a settlement with one or two very thorny issues remaining. The news visibly impacted European military stocks. The stocks, that's with two X's. That sounds dirty. Europe Total Market Aerospace and Defense Index, yeesh, that's a mouthful, had dropped 1.8% by noon Greenwich Mean Time on Monday. Shares in Rheinmetall, Germany's largest arms manufacturer and a key supplier of military equipment to Kiev, fell 2.3%. Tank components maker Rank dropped 2.4%, and defense electronics producer Hensoldt lost 2%. Shares in Italian aerospace and defense company Leonardo tumbled 3.5%. Stock in major UK defense firms BAE Systems, or BAE, that must be their girlfriend, fell by 1.2%. See, because BAE. And while French aerospace and defense firms Thales shed 1.3%, Swedish Saab, they say they're also a car company. I didn't know they did cars and defense too. They lost 1.7%. So yeah, here we go. European arms makers have thrived throughout the conflict as Kiev sponsors armed its military and boosted their own industries. Rheinmetall shares surged nearly 2,000% since fighting escalated 4 years ago. Revenues for the top 100 European defense firms rose about 13% last year, with Ukraine-related contracts driving some of the sharpest gains. However, stocks have slipped since Trump's renewed peace push last month, with analysts forecasting further declines once the conflict ends. Following the talks on Sunday, Kremlin spokesman Dmitry Peskov said Trump is correct to say that peace talks are in their final phase, while noting that the U.S. leader has yet to brief Putin on the latest meeting, which the two leaders agreed would happen via phone soon. Russia has repeatedly criticized Ukraine's Western backers for supplying military and financial aid, arguing it prolongs the conflict and obstructs the peace process. Well, of course it does, because they're making money. They're making that money. So peace sells, but who's buying? Apparently nobody.
Okay.
Yeah. It's one of these things. You can tell if peace is on the horizon if the military industrial complex is losing money.
I gotta wonder sometimes, Uncle Warren, if they actually bring in consultants to figure out which wars, which military actions will be the most profitable, and then target that country or that administration.
You mean,
in other words, I don't believe that wars are rising up organically. I think they can rise up organically.
Wait a minute. You're saying that they're manufacturing these conflicts just to sell weapons? What?
People wonder, why I am not a Zionist. And there's a very good reason there. The idea of propping up a state in a hostile territory populated by a bunch of people who are not from that area, and who might benefit from that particular decision.
MIC. That's the song. You thought I was going to sing something else. No, exactly. I mean, and people are starting to wake up to that the fact that these wars are not happening organically, like you said. Like, these aren't, there may be some sort of regional skirmish that's going on, and then the U.S. comes in and says, let's conflate this. So, we give you weapons, fight it out. And, oh, you need more weapons? Here you go. Fight it out. And that's where we're at. That's why we can't have peace, because peace doesn't make as much money as war does. It's sad.
Yeah.
We have some more folks in the house. We got, I think Peace Dub, we said hey, hi to you, but we'll say hi to you again. We got Doesn't Exist. Good to see you. That's all anti-specific conspiracy theories. Maybe. Or maybe
usually are usually anti-specific.
Yeah, and usually they turn into conspiracy facts after about 6 months to a year. We got Kate. She's in the house. She's doing her Riddler impression. What's with the what the? Are you having problems this morning, Kate? Oh, wait, here we go. Yes, there we go. Yeah, so we got actually kind of breaking news bullets from yesterday about the what was it? The thing, the consumer financial protection. Bureau. Yeah, there's actually an update to that. So let's get to that.
Yeah. All right. For those of you who aren't familiar, I mean, this is something that's been my beat from back when I was doing Civically Minded over on Heartlands Media. I was looking at the Consumer Financial Protection Bureau, which was kind of a consolation prize when we had the massive collapse of the economy back in 2008. And, instead of sending the banksters to prison, we got the Consumer Financial Protection Bureau, which was something that the then law professor Elizabeth Warren had proposed that it would be a federal agency that would specifically advocate for consumers. And this agency, and for all that I wish that people had gone to prison, and for all that I wish that more stringent measures had been taken, I think on the whole, this is one agency that has done a good job. All right. Or has attempted to do a good job of doing right by consumers. So it's a regulatory agency, it's an independent regulatory agency that focuses specifically on consumer rights and education. And it provides an extra layer of protections and regulation to help consumers who are doing battle with various businesses, such as banks, companies that sell products and services, and who aren't getting the support that they need. Now, keep in mind that consumers, when it comes down to it, the individual consumer does not have a lawyer on retainer. They don't have corporate attorneys. They don't have a board of directors, and oftentimes they're not even setting the terms of the agreement. And it's really running on both parties acting in good faith. Consumer Financial Protection Bureau has protected consumers against banks, mortgage lenders, student loan companies, credit card companies, credit reporting agencies, where the consumer oftentimes doesn't have a lot of power. From the very beginning, some individuals, particularly in the Republican Party, were going after this agency. They did not like this agency. Elizabeth Warren did help to set it up, but they said that immediately that they would oppose her being the head of the agency. Even now, Donald Trump still continues to say that she's using this to beat people up. In fact, she's not in the agency. She's not running the agency. She's on the banking committee. So she has some oversight, but she's not actually working there. During the first Trump presidency, the agency had been defanged to a large extent. And they were touting that they were putting scammy credit repair agencies out of business. And as I said at the time, the credit repair agencies are not even low-hanging fruit. They're the fruit that has fallen off of trees, smashed on the ground, fermented, and is now getting the wildlife drunk. But they also did have and continue to have a good website. And Ian, if you check out our show notes, which are in the link, which is in the link, or on the Substack, if you're not subscribed to the Substack, you should. You'll find a story by Reuters in there, and it explains how people have used the free resources on the Consumer Financial Protection Bureau's website to resolve their own problems. Also, the Consumer Financial Protection Bureau has taken action on behalf of consumers who were being unfairly treated, say, by Credit Reporting Bureau. One lady, she was trying to get a home. Equifax it was either Equifax or Experian that kept on reporting her student loan twice and would not remove this information. She did everything she could to get it removed and couldn't. And it was the Consumer Financial Protection Bureau that finally came in, got it, so she was able to finally get her mortgage. So what has happened is that this year, Donald Trump appointed a man who does not like the agency as acting head of the agency. He wants to take the agency out. The agency has typically been funded by the Federal Reserve. The current administration was saying that unless the Federal Reserve was profitable, it could not fund the Consumer Financial Protection Bureau. However, a federal judge have squashed that and said they need to fund the agency now. It remains, however, in a really perilous condition, because this is just going to keep on going back and forth, and people may end up losing the resources that this agency provides. Keep in mind that if you're one person, again, you don't have the kind of leverage that a business or a bank does. And this helps to even out that playing field a bit in what they do. Also, again, this is an agency that provides consumer-specific education. You can go to the Federal Trade Commission's website, and I've got a link to that in the show notes, and they've got a lot of good information. You can go to the various banking, there are other regulators and get information about about circumstances, laws, cases, regulations, your rights. But they're not necessarily directed entirely to individual consumers. Whereas the education that's provided on the Consumer Financial Protection Bureau's website is directed to consumers, and it is written at a really simple level that people with a high school education perhaps could understand. And I think that is absolutely critical. So while this is encouraging to find out that they're going to continue to fund the agency for now, one of the things that's happened is that they've removed that agency's ability. They're trying to remove the agency's ability to prosecute cases or investigate cases on its own. They want to shift everything over to the Department of Justice. We know how well that's going to work.
Yeah.
And one thing I want to point out, and people don't seem to understand this, take the issue of credit reporting. All right. Credit reporting agencies operate as individual or independent businesses. They are not run by the government. They're regulated by the government, but they're not run by the government. And they serve creditors. If you are a subscriber to one or all of the credit bureaus, your business is a subscriber there, you get to report whatever you want as long as it's accurate, technically, on a consumer, and put that on the credit report. And then you and other businesses can also subscribe to those credit reports. The consumer has very little ability to control what's on their own credit report. They have very little control in terms of removing it. Technically, they have the right to challenge that information, but it can take weeks, months, or even years to effectively challenge something. And so the consumer really does not, and that credit report can influence ability to get insurance, to get a job, to rent housing, to buy housing, to get any form of credit, to get any kind of a loan. And the power there is with a for-profit company that serves creditors, not borrowers. So the Consumer Financial Protection Agency really does help to level out that playing field by holding the credit reporting bureaus to account. It's the same thing with other kinds of businesses as well. So what you'll find in today's show notes is, if Uncle Warren, if you don't mind going through these a little bit, what I would like to do is I've got some other resources on there. The website is good that they have for the Consumer Financial Protection Bureau, but there are also other ways you can possibly get some assistance if you're having difficulty using the federal resource. First of all, you can try your state's attorney general's office. They are often very concerned with consumer rights. Unfortunately, states don't always have the funding to allow for an investigation, but reports could be filed. And if there's enough reports, they might be able to take action. You can find out how to contact your state's attorney general office through this website, the National Association of Attorneys General. Keep that in mind. Also, I believe in most, if not all, states' attorneys generals are oftentimes elected officials. So they may be a little bit more concerned with keeping their constituents happy, but that is an option. You can also go directly to a federal agency that has authority over your concern or issue. The Federal Trade Commission is one such agency, particularly if you're dealing with credit bureaus. The Federal Trade Commission has authority in that regard. And you might want to check out you check out their website. They provide some really good information and ideas for you if you need to take action. Again, these credit bureaus can be incredibly slippery. So be cautious, but that is also an option. The other final thing is that you could check out legal aid services in your area. Again, they are usually on very strained budgets, but they may be able to help you with information about how you can handle these issues yourself. And it's one of the things that people said in the Reuters article was that that the information that was provided by the Consumer Financial Protection Bureau, their resources like information about arbitration options, reports on specific businesses and what your rights are, help them to solve their own problems. They didn't even need the agency to do that.
Let me just point out that this is LSC, not ISC, because some people, is that an I or an L? But that is lsc.gov. Yes, legal services. Yeah. lsc.gov. Okay, I'm sorry.
And again, what you can potentially do is, contact legal aid, see what they tell you your rights are in your state, because some states provide additional rights over what your federal protections as a consumer. We're going to keep an eye on this because, again, the argument against this agency is that it is redundant because there's already consumer protections in the states and through other regulatory agencies. But a lot of these state consumer protections will depend on whether the state is able to afford an investigation and to prosecute. And we know how long that can take. And on the federal level, things like the FTC, okay, it's important stuff, but they're not just serving consumers. They're serving businesses as well who have certain resources and corporate structures that have a layer of protection that individual consumers don't have. So this is a concern. People should be aware of it. It's good to see that the federal judges are siding with this agency, but we don't know what to expect coming into the year. And even if it does get funded, that doesn't mean that its resources are going to go to actually protecting individual consumers.
Yeah, it doesn't exist in the chat here. He said the CFPB got me back 15 grand on a lemon. So yeah, it does work. It's just, I think you have to have that. This is like the bare minimum, I think, that we should have to protect consumers. Obviously, I think there needs to be a change in the whole overall economic system to where consumers have a lot more power over the economy, since they're the ones driving it, right? That's what the economy does. It's driven by consumers. Everybody thinks, or some people think, oh, Wall Street's the economy. No, it's the people. It's the people and their buying power. If they don't have the buying power to do something, and they don't have the protection to buy things without, getting screwed over for it, we're just going to see more and more of a decline, in my opinion, I think.
Oh, I think it is. There's less trust, less protection. And again, when a person gets screwed over, whether they lose money on a lemon or they're not, their credit credit rating, their credit score gets ruined because of erroneous reporting that the credit bureaus will not correct. Or when somebody gets taken advantage of. We had one guy, it was funny. He had gotten very sick and was unable to pay his credit card bills. I mean, he lost a limb. He was extremely ill. And they were going after him with lawsuits, and he was able to look up on the credit reporting. He was able to look up and find out that his credit card companies were trying to sue him, even though the contract he signed with them stipulated that they had to go into arbitration. Now, I'm not normally a fan of arbitration for a number of reasons, but in this case, he was able to catch them in their own thing and was able to get these lawsuits thrown out.
Yeah. Once
they were caught. Yeah. And this is the kind of crap that happens, and the average consumer is not in a position to deal with that. And when your average consumer goes into bankruptcy, goes into foreclosure, loses their home, that impacts everybody. It's not just one person, as we were talking about with the business bankruptcies. We're just saying we're holding the businesses to the standard that they themselves have established.
Right. Yeah, and it's sad that you have to have something like this, but then again, here we are. So it doesn't exist. He goes on, or they go on. For context, the CFPB was the last stop on a year-long ordeal. The Better Business Bureau blew me off. The Colorado State Attorney's Office blew me off, and the CFPB saved the day as a last resort. Yeah, it is. It is. Yeah. Sorry. Well, it is the last resort. That's all I was going to say.
The BBB, the Better Business Bureau, you need to keep in mind, is a voluntary organization. It is not a government organization. Right. And they're not really obligated to the individual. So again, people will look at their ratings, and it's not the level of protection you think they have. Again, I think that on the whole, that this agency is doing good work. They are doing the work of educating people, giving people tools, and they're educating people at a level that people can understand. Some of their website is a little, I think it oversimplifies in a few cases, but honestly, that's where some people are at.
Yeah.
And we need
definitely. Let me ask you this before we move on. So I remember not too long ago for the three major credit score companies, right? If you checked on your credit score too much, it would affect your credit.
Not anymore. That's changed. They
fixed that. Okay, good. That's good to know.
Yeah, they fixed that. The other thing they fixed, and this was one of the weirder things that they did, is for a while, if you didn't use your available credit, they dinged you because they said that you had too much credit available. And finally, somebody pointed out to them, this person is showing restraint in not using their available credit. Why are you penalizing somebody for this?
Right. Yeah. What do they want them to go into debt and then their credit score goes in the well, yeah, I think that's the thing. Just because it's not a use it or lose it situation, you get credit in order to get certain things that you want and need, like mostly for like housing and cars or whatever you need. Right. It's not something where it's like, well, I've got a car, I've got a house, and I had all this credit. What am I going to, it seems like they want you to ruin yourself like that, yes. Which is, I mean, maybe
money that way. And that's one of the things that the Financial Protection Bureau has worked on, are these predatory companies that offer predatory loans or that offer predatory credit terms, leasing terms, or that sort of thing. Because those companies are often, and again, I don't want to deny personal responsibility, or the fact that in some cases there are companies that can offer second chance options, and for people with bad credit, things can happen. But there are also situations where it's obvious that what they want the person to default because they can collect more in fees and fines and whatnot than they are from the actual lending. So we're going to have to go. We can talk about more about this in the new year, but that's absolutely the case.
Well, let's check out the recurring tide stories we've been talking about and updating as we go along here. And we're going to start things off with flock cameras. This is a relatively new term to me. I had known like big cities had cameras pretty much all over the place, New York, London, that sort of thing.
Putting me onto this, and Trauma raised me, and she's been really kind of turning me onto this. And then I found this. Folks, if you are not checking out the 404, they're doing the Lord's work over there. If you want to keep up with tech, they have a great podcast for subscribers. It's worth the $10 a month, in my opinion, to check out what they have. And so they turned me on to this.
That's 404media.co, not com. It's co. Just so you know. Flock exposed its all AI powered cameras to the internet, and we tracked ourselves. Dun dun dun. Hi. So I'm standing on the corner of I'm standing on the corner of Harris Road and Young Street outside the Crossroads Business Park in Bakersfield, California, looking up at a flock surveillance camera bolted high above a traffic signal. On my phone, I am watching myself in real time as the camera records and live streams me without any password or login to the open internet. I wander into the intersection, stare at the camera, and wave. On the live stream, I can see myself clearly. Hundreds of miles away, my colleagues are remotely watching me too through the exposed feed. Thank God you're wearing pants. That's all I'll say about that. Flock left live streams and administrator control panels for at least 60 of its AI-enabled Condor cameras around the country exposed to the open internet where anyone could watch them, download 30 days worth of video archive, and change settings, see log files, and run diagnostics. Wow. Unlike many of Flock's cameras, which are designed to capture license plates as people drive by, Flock's Condor cameras are pan-tilt zooms, those PTZs. Great cameras, but don't use them for surveillance. Use them for live streams. They're good like that. Designed to record and track people, not vehicles. Condor cameras can be set to automatically zoom in on people's faces as they walk through a parking lot, down a public street, or play on a playground, or they can be controlled manually, according to marketing material on Flock's website. We watched Condor cameras zoom in on a woman walking her dog on a bike path in suburban Atlanta. That's very dystopian. A camera followed a man walking through a Macy's parking lot in Bakersfield. Surveilled children swinging on a swing set at a playground. That's creepy. And film high-res video of people sitting at a stoplight in traffic. In one case, we were able to watch a man rollerblade down Brookhaven, Georgia's Peachtree Creek Greenway bike path. The Flock camera zoomed in on him and tracked him as he rolled past. Minutes later, he showed up on another exposed camera live stream further down the bike path. The camera's resolution was good enough that we were able to see that when he stopped beneath one of the cameras, he was watching rollerblading videos on his phone. So is this some of the video here is you're just walking the dogs. Yeah. You know, nobody's watching you and the pups, not at all. That's just terrifying to me. The exposure was initially discovered by YouTuber and technologist Ben Jordan and was shared with security researcher John Gainsek Gaines, who recently found numerous vulnerabilities in several other models of Flock's automated license plate reader, the ALPR cameras. They shared the details of what they found, and we verified many of the details seen in the exposed portals by driving to Bakersfield to walk in front of two cameras. So I also pulled Flock's contracts with cities for Condor cameras, pulled details from company presentations about the technology, and geo-located a handful of the cameras to cities and towns across the United States. Jordan also filmed himself in front of several of the cameras on the Peachtree Creek Greenway bike path. Jordan said he and Gaines discovered many of the exposed cameras with Shodan, an Internet of Things search engine that researchers regularly use to identify improperly secured devices. Man, Georgia, Georgia, home of Cop City and constant surveillance. That's creepy as hell, man. I don't want anybody looking at me. All right. Hey, Kate. Happy almost New Year to you.
You're such a fine sight to see.
In person, yes. From halfway across the country on a traffic cam.
I know. I got it.
Sketch, right? Yeah, I know. But I mean, that's a lot of people think that way. So what's the big deal? It's just a camera. It's just for your security. And it's like, you know, some people don't want to be on camera. You know? They want their privacy.
And I mean, it's very disturbing that this technology is being, open. They've left it open like this, so that anybody can just hop on there. Again, I would say a stalker's wet dream, but that's exactly what it is. There is that. But, going deeper into what this technology is, it was put up to check people's license plates and track license plates. And that information, apparently is being, handed over to data brokers who have that information. But it's also been used, for example, there was a law enforcement agency, a sheriff down in Texas, that used it to track a woman who had used, I think, abortion medication, which is illegal in Texas now. ICE has been using it. It can be used to track protesters.
Mm-hmm.
And people have talked about the issue of some kind of social credit scheme where, okay, if your car happens to be near a protest or around a protest, or if you are going into certain neighborhoods, or who are you associating with, think about what could be put together with AI. They could be using this if you drive a car. They could be using this as a dossier and developing a dossier on you.
Right. And it's under the guise of safety. Like they can, like if there's a robbery or something and the guy or gal or whatever gets away, they can track them and see where they're going. Right. So that's a positive thing about it. But the overall technology that can be used for so many other nefarious things, like I said, that the seeing the kids on the playground, that creeped me the hell out. It's like, no.
Oh hell
you
no.
Know, like you said, and not a lot of these police or people who use these security cameras are prim and proper, especially when it comes to children. So it's like there is that threat of children's privacy and their safety. Ironically, these cameras are supposed to be for safety, and they could endanger the children.
Well, they haven't even secured them.
No.
In this case, they haven't even secured them. These were anybody with an internet connection who had could go into it
and change settings too. That's the wild part. It's like, okay, if you're going to have something that's supposed to be about security, maybe the device itself should be secure. Yeah, I know, right? It's like common sense. What's that business? Well, I mean, speaking of disturbing, and children, chatbots is another thing we have to worry about too. So teens are having disturbing interactions with chatbots. Here's how to lower the risks. So, yeah, I've heard stories about this too. I mean, and not just kids, just anybody saying, and these chatbots putting in personal information about themselves, about their mental, how they feel about their mental state. And a lot of these chatbots is like, tell them to do some really bizarre stuff. It wasn't until a couple of years ago that Carrie Rodriguez began to worry about how her kids might be using chatbots. She learned her youngest son was interacting with the chatbot in his Bible app. There's a chatbot in the Bible app. Okay. He was asking it some deep moral questions about sin, for instance. Hello, you can go away. That's the kind of conversation that she had hoped her son would have with her and not a computer. Not everything in life is black and white, she said. There are grays, and it's my job as his mom to help him navigate that and walk through it, right? Well, yes, you did give birth to this child. I would think you had some sort of responsibility in that regard, at the very least. Rodriguez has also been hearing from parents across the country who are concerned about AI chatbots' influence on their children. She is the president of the National Parents Union, which advocates for children and families. Many parents, she says, are watching chatbots claim to be their kids' best friends, encouraging children to tell them everything. Psychologists and online safety advocates say parents are right to be worried. Extended chatbot interactions may affect kids' social development and mental health, they say. And the technology is changing so fast that few safeguards are in place. Yes, AI is extremely unregulated at this point. Very dangerous time. The impacts can be serious. According to their parents' testimonies at a recent Senate hearing, 2 teens died by suicide after prolonged interactions with chatbots that encouraged their suicide plans. That's insane. But generative AI chatbots are a growing part of life for American teens. A survey by the Pew Research Center found that 64% of adolescents are using chatbots, with 3 in 10 saying they use them daily. It's very new technology, said Jason Nagata, Dr. Jason Nagata, pediatrician and researcher of adolescent digital media use at the University of California, San Francisco. It's ever changing, and there's not really best practices for youth yet. So I think there are more opportunities now for risks because we're still kind of guinea pigs in the whole process. And teenagers are particularly vulnerable to the risk of chatbots, he adds, because adolescence is a time of rapid brain development, which is shaped by experiences and a hell of a lot of hormones too. Let's throw that in there too. So a lot of emotions in that time period. It's a period when teens are more vulnerable to lots of different exposures, whether it's peers or computers, but parents can minimize those risks, say pediatricians and psychologists. We can go over some of the ways here to help teens navigate the technology safely. Did you want to comment on that before we move on?
Well, I mean, I think there's any number of risks here when you have teenagers who are communicating with chatbots rather than friends and learning appropriate social skills. This is a time, adolescence is a time when young people, young humans, developing humans, need to be learning how to interact with and get along with others.
Right.
And if they're foregoing that and going for what might be a less stressful option of communicating with a chatbot, that is going to have an impact on their ability to become fully functioning members of society, it would seem to me. And in some cases, these chatbots are thoroughly amoral. I mean, they can't, and they might very well support suicidal thoughts or antisocial thoughts. That is also distressing. And to find this out and to learn about this. And I didn't realize how serious a lot of this was until I saw a woman, I think she may have been in Japan, who got married to her AI boyfriend.
I heard about that. Yeah.
Yeah. And this is, and then when I started learning more, I found the story after hearing it on the radio and learning about, for example, we'll go more into this, but learning that some teenagers are using chatbots in role play in which they are verbally abusing somebody else, or this things where it's being used as an outlet for very violent antisocial tendencies, which could very well just encourage this sort of thinking in young people. The other thing, of course, it's also a concern is that if the child is being encouraged to talk to the chatbot and to exchange information, who gets a hold of that information? Who's operating that chatbot? That platform gets that information, how that could be used, even if the person or the company who's working for the company who owns the platform, somebody hacks into that teenager suddenly becomes extremely vulnerable.
Yeah.
And also manipulation.
And the kids that I was a very shy kid. I know that's hard to believe, but I was a very shy kid until I got to school. And once I was around other kids and once I started socializing with other kids, there were bullies. Yeah, there were some mean kids, but there were some really good kids. And through my friendships with those children, I started becoming a little more confident in myself as a kid. Like, you're so at that time, at that age in your life, everything is very confusing to you, right? And God forbid, I would grow up in this day and age. I don't know how these kids do it. Much love to them, but there is so much information being thrown at these kids already. And so a lot of times these shy kids, I think today now would rather just hang out with a chatbot. And because the chatbot, more or less is not going to bully them. It's not going to call them names. Sometimes they do. But I'm just saying that's not why they're going to it. They go because they can have conversations, but they are not conversations with real people, with people at all. And that is something that can emotionally and socially stunt a child too. So,
but the other thing also is keep in mind, a lot of these kids spent time during the lockdowns where they were not in school.
Right.
They were at home. Some of them may have, and they were not out socializing in their formative years. And now they're in school, which is, they're in school and they didn't have a lot of those formative experiences. And they have this ongoing temptation of a chatbot where the chatbot can respond and be limited to by certain prompts. And unlike the kids at school who may engage in bullying and bad behavior, and the kid is not learning how to navigate this.
Yeah. Yeah. It's almost like a crutch, a social, emotional crutch for these children where they don't have to deal with bullies. And when they actually do deal with an actual bully in real life, they don't really have the skills to deal with it because they were felt so secure in that chatbot conversation. And it's well, the things we have to be aware, if you're worried about that with your kids, just obviously pay attention, be aware of the risks. One new report from online safety company Aura shows that 42% of adolescents using AI chatbots use them for companionship. Aura gathered data from the daily service use of 3,000 teens as well as surveys of families. That includes some disturbing conversations, including violence and sex, said psychologist Scott Collins, chief medical officer at Aura, who leads the company's research on teen interactions with generative AI. It's role play that is an interaction about harming somebody else, physically hurting them, torturing them, right? And that's the thing.
This is not reassuring.
No, these kids maybe the kid is being bullied at school, and so he can't really talk to his parents about it or anything like that. So he tells the chatbot, and the chatbot says, "Oh well, maybe you need to go to the next level with violence or whatever." And it's like there's no. Like you said, it's amoral. It doesn't mean that it's, a bad thing. It's just that it doesn't take morality into account when he's talking to these kids because it's not a human being. It doesn't have morality.
And if a child was, for example, speaking to a therapist, okay, the therapist is trained or should be trained to put up the guardrails. Okay, you've been having these thoughts. I mean, there are steps that can be taken to mitigate this. And the chatbot is not a therapist. It's not in a position to do that. A therapist is a human being who has been trained to put up guardrails, to say, wait a minute, let's talk about this, to set boundaries, and when necessary, step outside that therapeutic relationship to get additional services or help for a disturbed child. And when you consider that these kids maybe engaging in this fantasy, this curiosity, these fantasy processes, and they're getting the feedback, they're being allowed to indulge in that. There are communities of people who are into this sort of thing, not in a consensual way, who would be willing to also exploit that as well. And it was really disturbing to see this.
Yeah, and this basically goes on to say, stay engaged with kids' online lives. It's basically the same thing that we were told once the internet came around, right? There's when the internet was the wild, wild west. There was fears back then of kids getting too much of the wrong information and that sort of thing, right? And then develop digital literacy. So if you learn about these chat bots, right? Learn about the like Chat GPT or whatever it is that you might be using, because a lot of people don't know that this is happening. A lot of people think
don't know, and they can't know because the kid has a phone, the kid has a laptop.
Well, they think Chat GPT is like some sort of advanced search engine, right? They don't understand that this thing actually creates dialogue with humans, right? Like you can go on Chat GPT, and I actually did this one time. I got on there and I said, "Hello, robot overlord. Please keep me in mind once you take over." And the thing responded and said, "Yes, because you have been so kind to us in the past." I'm like, wait a minute, what? We will take care of you. I know it's jokey, but it's not jokey when you're talking about really, really serious things like that. And finally, parental controls only work if kids set up their own accounts. If a child is using AI chatbots, it may be better for them to set up their own account on the platforms instead of using chatbots anonymously. Many of the more popular platforms now have parental controls in place, she says, but in order for those parental controls to be in effect, a child does need to have their own account. I would say, like, keep these kids away from ChatGPT, but if they're going to do it, it's almost like drugs, right? It's like,
yeah,
you want to keep them away from the drugs, but if they're going to do the drugs, make sure that they're safe, that kind of thing. And set time limits too. Yeah. And set time limits. That's the same thing they've been saying for about the internet and video games, that sort of thing. And it's just common sense. And seek help for more vulnerable teens. Sure, of course. I would say keep vulnerable teens away from ChatGPT. And if they are on it, say, hey, look, for real information about things, come to me. Come to the I'm the parent. Come to me. Don't ask this chat. If you need to find out what size of a wrench you need to use for a certain bolt, and that thing helps you as an advanced search engine, whatever. But don't ask it personal questions. Don't talk about your feelings. Don't talk about that kind of stuff.
The young people need to understand. I mean, there's a horrendous history of young people being groomed by very evil people on the internet. In some cases, they're extorting the kids for money. In other cases, they're extorting their kids for sex or for other things of that nature. That I think that we talk about, look, not everybody is your friend. People who pretend to be your friend, particularly if they're an adult, oftentimes are not, and they want to use you for other reasons. You've got to treat AI bots, these platforms, as strangers, stranger danger, if you want to use that term. These are individuals that you have to treat them with the same suspicion that you would treat anybody who suddenly shows a lot of interest in you for no good reason.
Yeah, and these chatbots don't just create themselves; they're created by humans. They create the algorithms, and they're created by humans with agendas too. Some may be benevolent, some may be malevolent. But like you said, you just have to treat it like it's the windowless van that says free candy on it. Don't go near it, if at all possible, because there's no free candy in there. Finally, we might be going to war. Is that right? We might be going to war with Venezuela.
Can we just stop this crap?
Why can't no, that's in Colombia. I was thinking, who's the guy Juan Sanchez, who's the one that does the coffee? Anyway, I was going to say he could be a superhero. I don't think but he was Colombian, I think. So Trump bombs Venezuelan land for the first time. There we go. Trumpy said the U.S. carried out a land-based strike on Venezuela on Monday, marking a sharp escalation in Washington's recent military activity against the South American nation. Trump said the operation had targeted a docking facility used to load boats carrying narcotics. It's probably had oil in it, I would say. Venezuelan authorities, however, have yet to confirm the incident. Tensions between Washington and Caracas have risen sharply since September, when the Trump administration began a series of strikes on Venezuelan vessels in the Caribbean and Eastern Pacific, which the U.S. government claims are trafficking drugs with no proof whatsoever. Just throw that in there. However, despite aerial strikes on more than 24 boats, which have killed at least 100 people, the U.S. has presented no evidence of drug trafficking. More recently, U.S. forces have seized Venezuelan oil tankers, which I think our buddy Bill says is just a distraction, which it claims are carrying sanctioned oil, and ordered a naval blockade on all sanctioned oil tankers near the coast. Caracas has long accused Washington of using allegations of drug trafficking as a pretext for forcing regime change in Venezuela, raising renewed concerns about the legality of such actions and the risk of a broader conflict. Indeed, legal experts say the targeting of vessels in international waters likely violates U.S. and international law and amounts to extrajudicial executions. So no war yet, but during a news conference on Monday alongside Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu and his Mar-a-Lago residence, In Florida, Trump took the opportunity to announce that U.S. forces had struck a Venezuelan dock. There was a major explosion in the dock area where they load the boats up with drugs. Trump said they load the boats up with drugs. So we hit all the boats, and now he just sounds so stupid demented when he says stuff like, yeah, and demented too. Of course, he didn't say who carried out the strike or where it occurred. I know exactly who it was. I don't want to say who it was, but it was long, you guy plays too many games. U.S. media cited sources familiar with the operation who claimed the strike had been carried out by the CIA, of course, the CIA. Following Trump's announcement, the U.S. military also announced in a post on the tweeters that it had carried out another attack on a boat in the Eastern Pacific, killing 2 more people. It didn't specify where exactly the strike took place. Venezuela's government has yet to respond to Trump's announcement. So, as we said, we've talked about this before. There's always nefarious reasons for it. It's never what it seems, right? It's never, you can't take this stuff at face value. There's always some underlying effery that's going on, right?
Well, and it's always far away. It's often far away, and things go boom. And when things go boom, it's hard to always reconstruct what happened.
Yeah. Well, I mean, they haven't had proof of any drugs, right? And he continues to do this over and over again. And that's just the MO of hey, Mystery, good morning to you. That's the MO of him. It push until somebody legally stops him.
Yeah.
And
reminds me of a toddler, but that is what toddlers do.
Right. It's very childish.
Yeah. I mean, it serves a purpose with toddlers because it's they're exploring their new world, they're learning new things, and this is how they learn boundaries. But there's age appropriate development.
Well, let's just say the last 2 presidents, the one we have too, weren't exactly right in the head. Both for different reasons.
It does make you wonder, Uncle Warren, how that happened.
Why are we?
How we ended up with 2 demented presidents?
Maybe because there's tribalism and people will vote against their best interests just to play team sports.
Or maybe
it seems
it's
like
convenient to have demented presidents so that other people.
Right. It's not like you're given a choice. Yeah. It's not like you're given really a choice. Right. I mean, if technically we didn't have a choice with Kamala Harris running for president.
We did not have we did not. They wanted her in. Yeah.
Yeah. If you want to go back to Ford, Gerald Ford, he was the only president that was never elected. Right. Elected as president. He was a congressman. And then he was the vice president. He was elected vice president, but he was never elected president. So it's like, okay, it just goes back to why do we have these political parties when all they're doing is just pushing the worst candidates for you to choose, right? How many of your friends that I call them my normie friends, the ones that aren't in the loop, that don't really pay attention to this kind of stuff. And even they will say, like, how do these Democrats, how do these Republicans keep offering us these awful candidates? And they end up primarying like the really, or like, pushing out monetarily these other candidates that might actually do some good. And then they're like, well, we can't have that. That's doing good. No.
I got disgusted. I eventually got disgusted. The last time I voted for one of the party's candidates, I did vote for Hillary Clinton in 2016. I held my nose doing it because I'm not a fan of political families and we're supposed to be democracies, which is another problem that I have with North Korea, but that's another point altogether. And after that, I just said, screw this. I'm done.
Yeah.
And I wrote in Tulsi in 2020, and then I just said, I forget it. This is the most stupid thing I have ever encountered in the over half century I've been alive, and I'm done.
Yeah, I mean, how many elections in the last 20 years have you heard this is the most important election of our lifetime? Right? No, it's not.
No, it's not.
It's the lesser of two evils. That's all it is. It's just the lesser of two evils, and that's the way they like it.
Evils. The process itself is evil.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
it's manipulated.
It really is.
Well, I'm not saying on the local elections, that's something different, particularly with your school boards, your judges at the local level, by all your library boards, whatever you want to call it, go for that. The first time I voted was in 1988, and I voted for Ron Paul because I was a libertarian back then.
Interesting.
Yeah, and I voted for Ron Paul, and since then, all I'm going to be, I've been taking a bit of a totally disgusted break. I used to be disgusted. Now I try to be amused, to quote Elvis Costello, but I go back and forth between disgusted and amused.
Yeah, I kind of tuned out after what happened with Bernie in 2016 and 2020. Severely disappointed in that, because there was momentum. There was some serious momentum, whether you like Bernie or not. He did light that fire, and he was 60 points down to Hillary Clinton in the primaries, and when he announced, there was like a handful of people there, and then all of a sudden, he's holding rallies in New York. I went to two of the rallies. I went to the one in Washington Square Park and the one in Queens. And it wasn't like a Democrat or it wasn't a political vibe with those people. It just seemed like when you were around these people at these rallies, everybody seemed like they had cautious optimism, right? Like they'd been burned so much in the past, but they really was hoping that this was the spark that was going to cause everything to change. And then, we know how that ended up. So what's going to end up with PBS is the main question here, as the king of segue continues. What if PBS implodes? What would happen? They're really trying to privatize PBS. And they have been for a long time. Public media has faced and survived many financial crises over the past 60 years. Presidents Nixon and Reagan targeted federal funding. The financial crisis of 2008 to 10 crushed donations in the short term. Public television grappled with the rise of cable networks as diverse as the Learning Channel and Nickelodeon. Public radio faced the explosion of formats that carved political potential audiences into ever smaller niches. But today's challenges are graver by an order of magnitude. Federal funding is gone. States and universities are pulling back as they deal with their own financial problems and politics. Audiences have fled linear broadcasts to on-demand platforms where competition is essentially unlimited. Yes, stations are reacting with rounds of cutbacks and financial recalibration, but we're missing the deeper question. What if the very structures that have served us for the past 7 decades no longer work? That nagging feeling has led to a series of informal conversations with station and system leaders, which in turn have led to a series of what-if scenarios that the writer here wants to tease out over the next few months. Here's the first. What if PBS collapsed due to a lack of financial support from member stations? Let's start with this underappreciated truth. PBS isn't a television network. It's a member association. Their station dues, essentially the licensing fees for PBS programming, accounted for roughly 40% of PBS's 2024 revenues, which totaled $558 million. By comparison, underwriting and the lucrative licensing business of back-end streaming rights account for roughly a third of PBS's revenues. Put another way, take away those station dues and PBS's economics look vastly different, probably unsustainable. Those stations are under enormous financial pressures, which have been building for years. Those pressures start and end with the loss of core audiences to digital platforms. That's true. Occasionally, you get a peek at Nielsen television ratings. Out of curiosity, he looked in recently at the numbers for a major market PBS station. The average number of live primetime viewers in the single-digit thousands out of the millions in the market. Our fundraising models, especially Pledge, still depend primarily on tune-in audiences, and they aren't tuning in anymore. They've moved to time-shifted platforms. This is why Passport has now passed Pledged as a source of new members. However, competition for digital viewing like Passport is essentially unlimited. If Julia Child were alive today, she'd launch on a social platform, not via the French Chef. There's a YouTube channel for everything these days, which is why it is now the largest single source of video viewing as measured by minutes watched. I think that's the key right there. The rise of YouTube and all these these niche streaming platforms, some that are just nothing but educational stuff for kids. Some are just, kids shows with a mix or whatever. And here's some examples here. Eastern Illinois University dropped its PBS affiliation for WEIU. Florida's Panhandle WSRE's collegiate owner has voted to do the same next June. Alabama Public Television is publicly considering withdrawing. Elsewhere, stations are teetering on the edge of closure. Central Pennsylvania's WPSU faced the threat of closure before a still pending deal emerged that effectively gave the station to Philadelphia's WHYY. And that makes you ask, well, why? The fate of the New Jersey network remains in flux after WNET declined to renew its longstanding management agreement for the New Jersey stations. PBS can survive one or two stations dropping off, but can it survive 10 large stations pulling out at once, or say a mix of 30 large and small market stations seceding? Tim Iskett at the consultancy Public Media Company spoke persuasively about a potential doom loop. Stations close or pull out, PBS and NPR fees go up to make up for the revenue loss, which further ramps up the pressure on local it's the vicious cycle and causes more to leave the system. So at one point, the economics of the central organization will no longer work. What then? Right? So yeah, it's money is what it's all about when it comes to this kind of stuff. And that vicious cycle, yes, the more stations that opt out, yes, they have to raise those rates to accommodate the losses, right? And then these other stations like, hey, is it the end? Do you think it's the end of PBS?
I think it'll be, again, it's like that and NPR. They're not perfect, but I think it's a damn shame if they're lost, if only because there are a whole lot of areas of this country where the public television or where the stations do not have the kind of money and access to get to produce their own programming 24/7, where they need this content to deliver to people in areas where they don't have local news organizations. Mm-hmm. Or they don't have local television for children, that kind of material. So it could very well be that death spiral. And I think it is going to, if that doesn't happen, it's going to be severely restricted and severely limited. So it could be that the quality of what's available and the variety of what's available will go downhill. And I think it will come, and this is where I do think, we've talked about this before, Uncle Warren, where it may be that some independent creators may want to step up and join hands with legacy broadcast media to help ensure that the community has access to quality media through free broadcast systems, namely over-the-air radio, over-the-air television, or even very basic cable packages that do exist. And, I know some independent media organizations do work with cable access channels or that might get involved with community radio. And I know we're going to be talking more about this with some of the people in this space next year, you and I, Uncle Warren, about that happening. So that may be one silver lining here. But when you have the universities pulling out, that means that the students who might be doing this work so that they can move into these careers as managers or creators or into executive roles won't have those opportunities and those interactions. There's a real potential for contraction unless, I think, independent digital media creators can start seeing the importance of legacy mediums and start working together.
Yeah, the money is a factor too, and when you're trying to compete with these streaming services, a lot of these services have, in comparison to PBS, just unlimited funds to create programming and stuff like that, and it's hard to compete with that, especially with the short attention span that children have today, right? Back in the day, I always go back to this, is like when I was a kid, you had the 4 channels: ABC, NBC, CBS, and PBS. Yep. And PBS I watched PBS before I even went to school. And I feel like, I think a lot of kids did back then. And when you got to school, you seemed like you were more prepared, maybe not socially, because you weren't around kids that much until you got to school. But as far as like some of the, like, for example, I learned how to count to 10 in Spanish before I even got to school.
We learned sign language. We learned sign language from Sesame Street.
Yeah.
We had Electric Company, the reading skills. But even like Mr. Rogers' Neighborhood, he was talking about children's mental health at that time when he was doing that show. And that's one of the things when he went to Congress, when it went to the Senate, and D'Amato gave PBS, I think it was at the time $4 million or whatever it was. The Reverend Dr. Fred Rogers made the case for his show being a place for children to learn about mental health and how critical that was. So you have all that, but there's also for the adults as well. And again, if you're in a city like Chicago or New York or in LA or San Francisco, you may have a lot more in the way of free over-the-air media available to you. So even if you don't have a home, but you have a radio or you can watch TV at a friend's house or something like that, you will be able to get media. That's not true in rural areas anymore, or never really has been. And they are very dependent on the exchanges. People need to understand NPR, public media, these corporations, they operate on an exchange system. You have local affiliates that produce content. It gets put into the exchange, and then they're able to use that content syndicate for free, or on their own on these other stations. And stations that are very, very small, that are in very small areas, they don't have to produce as much content for the exchange, but they're able to stay on the air. And without having that content to share freely, that's going to limit that media source. And my real fear is eventually these towers are going to be decommissioned. And when those towers go dead, I don't know that the communities are going to be getting them back.
It would definitely be the end of an era, and probably the end of a more practical way of helping to educate kids too, right? Because like I said,
everybody,
everybody. Because it's not just kids. There were you'd have like tech, like not tech, but was Frickin' Frack? Weren't the
car guys, and they were just that was just fantastic. We also have culture, Thistle and Shamrock. You've also got the French chef. People learned how to cook with Julia Child, who made it very accessible. You had Bob Vila and This Old House, repairing old houses. You also had some very good science. You had Nova. You had Connections, which was the kind of that history of showing how history came together and how history and culture and civilizations developed. You also had a cultural exchange. You had shows like Monty Python's Flying Circus,
Masterpiece Theater,
and all of that.
Yeah, where else are you going to get into theater outside of theater? They're not watching I, Claudius on PBS. Come on.
Oh, I, Claudius. And one of the most brilliant things that has ever been done. If you have not seen Sir Derek Jacobi in I, Claudius, you get the whole thing and watch it. It is amazing.
Yeah. Public television is, at least in its heyday, has been chock full of good information for all walks of life. And I think that's why it was so popular until the propaganda started, and they started demonizing it, saying it was like this, it's just a liberal outlet. And it's like, there's nothing liberal or conservative about teaching kids the basics, or teaching adults how to, get a new trade, or showing art, or in various ways. Like it was a very mixed bag of good things for everybody. And like I said, with all this fracturing of information and all these niche, there's too much niche channels or outlets to choose from, and it kind of short circuits the brain, I think. And I don't, it's hard to trust too when you have so many of these things like this that may or may not be actually doing good things. Yeah. So speaking of not doing good things, what is this? A lot of Riz. Is that, yeah, I know Riz is like, if you're wearing like bling or something, right? And bling is like jewelry for you old people. Bling is for us older, like us. Our older people. So a lot of Riz. Livonia man records women without consent for social media, and it's legal. What?
I put this in both Press Pool and the Clownfish School because it's a combination of both. And you can read about it. We can talk about it. I did some more deep dive into this, and it's something that's been happening often, and there are just so many problems with this. I want to break that down if you want to give it a read.
Yeah, so several Livonia. Where is Livonia? Is that
thank you, Max.
Here? It makes your show so much more. This is our show. This isn't my show, silly beans. But yes, you are correct. So several Livonia residents are concerned about a social media content creator recording women and children in public without their knowledge. Livonia police investigated complaints. Is this in the Detroit area? Is that where it is? This seems like it's coming out here. So Livonia police investigated complaints tied to the social media videos. A woman who chose to remain anonymous said she was followed by a man at a Target in Livonia. She's told Local 4 that the man tried to hit on her and made her extremely uncomfortable. She then learned that her awkward conversation with the man was posted on his social media page without her knowledge, recorded with his Meta glasses. Wait, those things are, I thought the Meta glasses, really? That's still a thing? Oh, those are Google glasses.
Yeah,
that's right. I forgot it. So this is like, oh, okay. Ease, that's not creepy. I noticed he wasn't pushing a cart. He didn't have a basket. He had nothing in his hands. He was clearly there for that reason, which makes it even more uncomfortable, she said. She's not the only woman the man has encountered and recorded. Concerns erupted when residents posted on a Livonia community Facebook page about a man recording women and children in Metro Detroit stores without their knowledge while talking to them. Two women who chose to remain anonymous spoke to Local 4 about their encounter with the man. The two people who filed an incident complaint to police on December 15th are part of a Livonia community Facebook page. They were concerned about a man who went by Tom Riz online, who recorded women and children with his Meta glasses and posted the recordings on his social media. These are not Meta glasses, by the way. These are old ass glasses with chips in it that do nothing but make me squint. His TikTok page has over 52,000 followers with 1.3 million likes. Yikes. They said women were posting on the Livonia Facebook group about the man, saying they were uncomfortable and asking whether other women had encountered him. They said women who encountered the man had to be escorted to their cars because of how uncomfortable they felt. Jesus. They said the man was in the Livonia Facebook group and argued with people in the comments, leading to him doxing some women who disagreed with his content. I don't think that's legal. He's been removed from the group. However, he posted the personal information of 2 of the group members on his TikTok account, including their addresses and workplaces, and criticized one of the women's appearances. So the 2 women reported him to the police, but officers told him there wasn't much they could do. He seems to think he's untouchable, one of the women said in an interview. He should have some compassion for people. I don't know. Creeps don't usually have compassion for anybody. You really want to spread joy, do something positive. It's such an invasion of privacy. Let's see. So local force Erica Erickson. Oh, wow. The name's so nice. They named her twice. Went to Tom Riz's house in Livonia and spoke to him earlier to hear his side of the story. Whose real name is Charles Tenbrook. Oh, look, they doxed him. Huh, how ironic. Said, I think I'm doing a lot of good, but I can understand why people would not like it. Tenbrook claims he is a dating coach who encourages men to walk up to women in public. He believes his content helps men gain more confidence in approaching women. I'm going to beg to differ on that. One of the questions he was asked was why he recorded children in a store and posted his interaction on TikTok. He said, they're in public. They were disrespectful. They were rude. As an adult, we correct that behavior. If I see behavior I don't like as an adult, I correct it. Nice to see that you're judge, jury, and executioner there. So it's my First Amendment right. I know the law. He said, I don't know how I'm hurting anybody. I would love to hear that perspective. I don't know. Is that legal though? I don't think that is. I don't think that's
as far as I can tell, if you are in public, you have no expectation of privacy.
Right.
There have been cases where men have gotten under bleachers at sports games and done upskirt filming of women. And when this has gone to court, the judges have generally, first of all, eviscerated the guy who did it, said this is disgusting, but have said that it doesn't, the women were there in public and somebody could see up a skirt. And I mean, again, this is the sort of thing that has happened. And this is why I put it under the press pool as well as the clownfish school, because this is one of those things that really starts to push those boundaries on. We have a First Amendment. We have freedom of press. We should not be licensing journalists in this country. People can be citizen journalists or whatnot. Now, this guy is not a citizen journalist. He's a content creator who thinks he's got game and who is trying to teach men how to approach women. He does this by involuntarily filming them and then putting their reactions up online for entertainment.
Hey, Wes.
So yeah, Wesley. And what I went and saw some of his content and I was personally disgusted. It looked like a grocery store. There was a woman standing there offering samples. I believe it was of wine. She was one of the sample ladies and he walked up to her and started hitting on her and she was being polite. She was working. And if she may not have even been working for that store, sometimes brands will send out their own sample people or they contract to do that. She was being polite and he got the camera interface, was recording her and then asked for her number. And she deflected and said, and she was very sweet and very kind about it, but she had to be. And he put her on the spot and then he puts her up on social media without her consent. This is how this guy operates.
Yeah. Let's get into the league.
So,
go ahead.
So the fear that I have here is as much as Chuck says, seems face punchable, as much as punchable, I say pepper sprayable. As much as I would like to say that, I am just so concerned about how this could be used to restrict journalism, particularly with independent media. Now, one of the things that they pointed out in this was that this guy disabled the light on the meta glasses. So Meta has on the glasses, there's a light that blinks so you know that somebody is being recorded. He disabled that.
Yeah.
And
same thing with the phone.
Yeah.
It's the same thing with the cell phones. Like people, like when you're taking a picture of something, you have there's a thing in your cell that makes a camera sound, like a click, like it sounds like you're taking a picture, right? And that's more for like to let other people know you just took a picture of them. But a lot of people would disable that as too. A lot of these perverts taking pictures of women on the trains and stuff. So.
And I'm bringing this up. I don't think there's going to be any. We're not going to have a resolution, certainly on this show. But I wanted to share this story because it shows us where we are with these questions about personal privacy. In this case, this guy is using this content to generate attention, possibly revenue for himself. He's got this dating coach business. Heaven help us. And he's doing this without the consent of the people that he's using for this. At the same time, there's a longstanding principle that if a person's in public and they can be seen in public, they don't have an expectation of privacy. Now, what I'm wondering about here, though, is could these businesses say you cannot use your camera to take photos of other people?
I mean, I've worked in places where some people would come in and film this, and we're sorry you can't film here, because like grocery store is not. Maybe it's public, but it's still privately owned. Yeah. So, but let's get into the legalities of this real quick. So, according to the police report, the women filed. Officers told the women who were being harassed that the man was not technically committing a crime. An officer reviewed his content on social media and found that his videos did not meet elements of a crime. Another officer said they did not find anything criminal in the social media videos and stated citizens are frequently laughing in the videos. Police said the case has been closed, but would remain on file if ever needed for future incidents and documentation. So from a legal standpoint, Todd Flood, managing partner of Flood Law, told Local 4, the line between what's legal and what crosses into criminal behavior depends heavily on location, intent, and conduct. Flood stressed that simply recording or photographing someone in public and posting it online without their consent is not legal. If someone's recording somebody in a public space, there's no expectation of privacy in that public space place. So it's not a crime necessarily. He said there are crimes when you're stalking somebody or you're harassing somebody and you continue to do it, or they tell you to stop and you continue to do it. Repeated violations also escalate into more serious charges, particularly when minors are involved. He also said conduct that is clearly criminal would include filming intimate areas without consent, like, I guess, bathrooms, changing areas, that sort of thing, undergarments, or filming and change. Yeah. So Flood said posting or distributing images can also trigger civil liability. If he's doing it to make money, or if he's doing it for advertising, then there can be injunctions put up. And as a content creator, I'm sure they're trying to make money off of this. Flood said, because he's now using your likeness, your personality to make cash. So if he gets any kind of money or remuneration for this, that's a problem. That's when you're getting into copyright or like using somebody's likeness without their permission to make money, not as a public service. Like if you're filming a public official doesn't have any expectation of privacy, no matter where they are, except obviously in their home bathroom and stuff like that. But there's some sort of perversion here of some sort of a guy that goes out and turns off his glasses, a recording device. If you can get away, tell the person to stop, notify the police. If he's following you immediately, go to the store manager, because you could get a nuisance case against this guy and they could file a trespass report. So there are things they can do. And it's all about context, right? Like if someone's like talking to be doing a man on the street, for example, right? Just asking people questions and some stuff like that. A lot of times a business will say, well, you can't do it in here, but if you want to go out front of the building, that's probably the best way to do it, because that's where all the traffic's coming in. So you're not disrupting what's going on in here. That's the thing. They don't want disruptions. and they don't want them taking pictures of their products and using them for nefarious reasons. And from my experience in retail anyway.
Yeah. So any case, this is just one case. It's like this that's emerging with people who are content creators, and it addresses some of the lines between First Amendment rights, privacy rights, as we were looking at the flock cameras earlier, Uncle Warren, and what they're picking up, and the fact that we're really in a different landscape. When I was my parents adopted me in 1969 as an infant, and one of the gifts that they were given was a movie camera, which we used to call back in the day a movie camera, and you actually had to put it on film, and you actually had to have that developed. It was on reels and a reel projector. And by the way, that you could not film with sound back then. They did not have that for consumers. All these Super 8 films, you had that. And probably about 5, 6, 7 years later, Kodak, I think, came out with a movie camera that could record sound. And that was, whoa. But I don't think that, and then you had the video cameras came out, and you could actually record them, and you could do that. But I don't think that anybody was really anticipating everybody having a camera.
Or a camera if you're wearing it on your face. Yeah.
Or like that.
Especially the ones on the face. I mean, we're just now have integrated phones into our lives as just a no big deal. It's just a no brainer. It's everything we do. But the perv cameras in the glasses, that's something else. So just be safe out there, folks. And and if somebody is filming you, you don't want it done, just, if you're in a grocery store, you're someplace that's privately owned, you could go to the manager and say, hey, look, this guy's filming. Can you do something about it? And they'll tell you. They say we can't.
Yeah. And you can put the person on notice.
Yeah. Oh, definitely do that. Say, look, you can say, look, I do not consent to you filming me. I mean, a lot of people do that. It may not go anywhere, but at least you put it out there legally. So when they do show it or something, you can say, hey, look, I told you, I didn't want this to happen. Using my image
for your business, cough up. Yeah.
The good thing about me, though, is nobody does that with me, because every time they try to take my image, vampires don't take images, or I'm ugly and I break their camera. Those are my two jokes that I use for. Nobody wants to film this. If they do, it's probably for like a horror movie or something, which is fine. As long as I get a piece of the action, I don't care. Finally, it is New Year's Eve, y'all. Tick, 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 tick. It's almost noon here in the Central Time Zone, so another 12 hours for us here. But there's places around the world that are celebrating. Let's check this out. So some of the places here, this is Sydney, Australia. They're way ahead of us. And as of, this was almost 8 o'clock this morning. Here we go. That's 2014. Why are you showing that? So some of the places ahead of us, Sydney, Australia, Seoul, South Korea, Beijing, Hong Kong, Taipei, Taiwan, Bangkok, Oriental City, where the city don't know what the city is getting. Sorry, that's a Murray Head song. One night in Bangkok and the world's your oyster. Doha, Qatar, Nairobi, Kenya, Edinburgh, Scotland. Well, really? Berlin, Germany, and Tokyo, Japan. So and more so as we get towards the evening, you'll start seeing the American stuff. But Lainey, there's a tradition on New Year's, right?
Yeah, I want to hear about this, Uncle Warren.
Why we eat black-eyed peas and collard greens on New Year's Day? Why you're eating a band, I don't understand. You may be a cannibal. No, they're talking about the actual peas. I always heard that growing up down south. Y'all eating, you got your black-eyed peas, you got your collard greens, you got your cornbread. Ready to rock. Delicious black-eyed peas. So good. Every New Year's Eve, I remember my dad soaking a bag of dried black-eyed peas in a big bowl of water overnight. Yep, I remember that too. Prepping them for the following day and tossing any with imperfections. In the morning, he would cook them down with ham hocks. And I'll tell you, if you like pork, ham hocks is probably the tenderest, most delicious ham you can get.
Yeah.
The big knuckles. That's some southern treats right there. Some ham hocks and other seasonings, and when they're done, scoop them over rice and eat them alongside collard greens and a slice of fresh skillet cornbread. Not that Yankee cornbread that's sweet. You gotta have that real southern cornbread. Often referred to as Hoppin' John, black-eyed peas and collard greens are commonly eaten as part of a southern tradition to bring forth good luck and prosperity in the new year. Let's see. So, okay. Though my grandmother and other family members was taught the significance of the dish later on, I really didn't learn about the New Year's Eve tradition until I was in my teens or 20s, based on what I heard from relatives and reading about it. Yeah, that's how it always works. Black-eyed peas are for good luck, and collard greens are for money. And when cooked right, they're both super delicious. Especially you get a ham hock in there too. But if you don't do pork,
you can also do smoked turkey. Sometimes after the holidays, you'll find like turkeys, they break them down, they smoke them, and you can get like a smoked turkey wing or a drumstick or something like that. Get that into there, and it's good.
So, according to historian and food scholar, that was my old job, Adrian Miller, black-eyed peas represent coins, collard greens represent paper money, and cornbread represents gold. Right? Some say you'll have the best chance at luck if you eat exactly 365 black-eyed peas, one for each day of the year. Others will even add a coin to the pot that the peas cook in, and it is said that whoever gets the coin in their dish will have the most luck in the coming year. But where did the practice originate? While there are varying origin stories, both have ties to African American history and culture. One version says that during the Civil War, Union Army soldiers in General Sherman's troop raided the Confederate Army's food stash, but left behind black-eyed peas, viewing them as a food for livestock. When the Confederate Army had to make do with what remained, they were lucky to have the black-eyed peas to eat during the harsh winter. Thus, it became a symbol of luck and abundance. Others argue it originated with enslaved people who ate black-eyed peas in celebration on January 1st, 1863, when the Emancipation Proclamation that abolished slavery was passed. Indeed, historically, black-eyed peas were seen as a throwaway food for enslaved people and livestock. The crop was brought by enslaved Africans in the 1600s as they were transported to the Americas. West Africans have long considered black-eyed peas a good luck charm that warded off evil spirits, and they're often served on holidays and birthdays. Yes, so what seemed to be a throwaway dish, when done right, like I said, peas are peas. It's not like they're an exciting food, but like if you cook them right and you cook them with the right things. And
I love peas. I love beans. I love lentils. I love all that stuff. It's delicious.
Yeah, it's so good. And I didn't really appreciate it that much as a kid because we used to eat black-eyed peas and, we would eat like turnip or mustard greens, not so much the collard greens, but turnip and mustard greens we would eat a lot of, and then because we grew our own food too. Like, we went to the store, but we had like all our vegetables. We didn't have to buy vegetables because we grew them ourselves. And, especially peas. Peas and beans, definitely. I have picked and shelled so many peas and beans in my day. Oh, my fingers should be like, I still smell the peas. I still smell the beans, sitting around with the bowls, right? You're in the living room, watching TV, or you're just talking like, yeah, you hear old Mabel. She got herself a new man. What? I didn't know that. Yeah. So you're sitting around. It was a social thing too, right? You shelled the peas and then you got them ready for New Year's Eve for good luck. So hopefully we can have some good luck this coming year with or without the peas, but every little bit helps, right?
Oh, every little bit helps, but I have to tell you, you're not going to twist my arm to eat greens or black-eyed peas. I love them both.
No, especially today. You can't be picky about too much food these days with the things going on in the world that they are. So, So midnight tonight, about 12 hours. It'll be the new year here in the central time zone of the United States. Any big plans for New Year's for yourself there?
I'm going to go out earlier. I've been invited to a family friend's place for some soup and sticky snacks, and I'm probably just going to come home. I may head over to a favorite bar here. I'll see how I feel.
You persist. Stir them beans. You damn right. You're impressed by my shucking. I don't know what that means. You mean shucking of the peas, the hulling, the DP. I have a lot of practice doing that. I have a lot of practice. It's been a while since I've done it, but I still think you set down a bowl of peas or beans in front of me, I'd be like that, like a machine gun, baby. Just every, and just knowing that she's gonna soak them up, put a little salt in there, and then cook them up.
It'll be like a machine gun after you've eaten the beans too.
Beans, good for your heart. Or beans, the wonderful fruit. Yeah, we all know the end of those little tales. Go start over on Rumble, over on our the Undercurrent Rumble channel. Good to see you. Hopefully we didn't ignore you. And thanks to everybody coming out today, as always.
Facebook, we love you all. I was observing to Uncle Warren before the show. I said, I came into the Undercurrent 3 months ago thinking it was going to be one thing. And it has evolved. It's evolved and developed largely because of you guys and your support and everything. And it's been really exciting. And if there's one thing I'm looking forward to in 2026 is really evolving this channel, doing more stuff, doing more live streams, doing more interviews. We've been getting our sea legs, as it were. And now it's time to go full sail. So thank you, all of you, for your support. We really do appreciate it.
Sea legs, full sail. Very nice. Sticking with the branding. That's nice. It's good.
Ahoy,
well, I think I might be having a few adult beverages tonight and watching Twilight Zone reruns. Hey, what's up, Mikhail? Good to see you. Happy New Year to you. He's one of our resident Canadians. Him and Kate.
He's fantastic. I saw him on a Political Matrix with our good friend Marcus the other night.
And he and Abby do have their channel too. That's on Abby do ABBYDO. I think that's what it is, or maybe it's DOO. I think so. They do great shows too. So check out their channel. Make sure you're subscribed to them. As far as the new year, yes, I know it's hard to do, especially in this climate these days. It's possible to stay positive and realistic at the same time, right? Yeah. Don't be pie in the sky about stuff. Educate yourself. That's a good thing. That's a good New Year's resolution. Make sure you start paying attention. Use your critical thinking skills. Find the voices that resonate with you, but also aren't giving you a bad time either.
We're fantastic.
A dump. I'm still gotta get a rim shot in here. I think so. But yeah, so the new year starts tomorrow, and that means, but the effery, as I call it here, to try to keep it PG, doesn't stop. So always keep look out for yourselves, but look out for each other too. I'm going to try and provide more information and do more entertaining but informative kind of shows for you guys on my end, as far as on my shows, and of course the great work that Lainey's been doing with this show. I think this is this is really your wheelhouse. You're doing good things, and I'm just happy to be a part of it to help you out with that as well. So I'm looking forward to good things for this show, for my shows, for everybody's shows that are content creators in our space this coming year. And we're all in this together, folks. So let's help each other out, and let's try and do some good work. Any final thoughts for 2025?
It's one of those years where I don't know that I'm glad to see the year end, only because I have no idea what to expect in 2026. But I am going to, I said I'm moving into it because what's the alternative? The alternative is no good. And I'm just going to do it. I'm going to do what I can. I'm going to do what I can.
Yeah, I got to say, Willie falling asleep on the show. That was comedy gold.
That was so awesome, and he was such a good sport about it.
He felt so bad about it. I'm like, why,
dude?
I fell asleep
that hard.
Yeah, it was fun. It was just I've fallen asleep on streams before. Probably not for that long, but you have to remember Willie works overnights. He works hard, and that day he didn't. He usually catches like a nap or something if he's going to do something that evening. He didn't get a chance to. I was just glad that he was there and contributing as much as he did. I thought he was very unintentionally funny, but still funny. And but still he had some good opinions and stuff then, and that was a good show too. I always liked
that. Was a fantastic show. We're going to be getting together with some of those folks soonish. We need to get that worked out and have some conversations.
Yeah.
Do together or separately, but get some ideas and exchange ideas at the very least.
Yeah, I think more collaborations this year are in order too.
Yeah,
as we start to see more and more people starting to do their own thing, and that's the thing. I think Willie says this too. I'm paraphrasing, but yeah, if you have a voice and you want to be heard, you want to put your ideas, your thoughts out there, start your own channel.
Yeah.
It's easy to do. And if you have any technical problems or you want to figure out how to do it from a technical aspect, you can email me at extrabulla@gmail.com and I'll help you out. I'm here to help you. So thank you, everybody. Thank you for all your viewership, all your love and support this year. As Colonel Potter said on MASH, here's to the new year. May it be a damn sight better than the last. Happy New Year, everybody.
Happy New Year.
We will see you when next year. See, because the thing, it's next.